So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today we're going to take a look at a hybrid build for the Syndicate version of the Grineer hand cannon Vaykor Marelok. So it's a 3 Forma build, and we're actually going to change one of the base polarities, which was a D, into either a V or a dash. So in the end we'll end up with 3 Vs and 1 dash. So the mods we're going to use are Hornet Strike for more damage, Barrow Diffusion for multi-shot, Lethal Torrent for fire rate and also some additional multi-shot. Then we're going to add Pistol Gambit, which is going to push our critical strike chance up to 44%. And of course we're going to add Target Cracker, which is going to give us 2.4 times crit multiplier, which isn't as good as it is with other weapons because Vaykor Marelok only has 1.5 times multiplier by default. Then we're going to add Convulsion for electricity damage and Jolt for even more electricity damage and for more status chance. And finally, we're going to add one more dual stat mod to increase our damage even further and to also increase our status chance up to 98.4% and to create the elemental combo based on the faction we are going up against. Now, before I start talking about the build, I just want to say something. Holy crap, is it fun to shoot this thing! If you don't have it already, just go and get it. I was always very skeptical about the Marelok and the Vaykor Marelok as well, because whenever you hear someone talking about them, it's always like, well, this is the best weapon ever, and I had this feeling that when I finally get it, I'm just going to be disappointed because it's not going to be as good as people were hyping it to be. I was wrong. This weapon is amazing. Go and get it now. And with that out of the way, let's talk about the build. So why did I choose a hybrid build? A very good question, voice in my head. Status builds are incredibly powerful, and in many cases they are far superior to straight up damage builds unless you're using a weapon like the Tonkor, which does a ludicrous amounts of damage, or you're using a weapon with which you want to kill the enemy with the first shot, like sniper rifles or bows. Or a weapon where the status chance is low, so a status build is not viable. And the reason is actually pretty simple. Most status procs are not affected by enemy scaling. A magnetic proc will always drain 75% of the enemy shields, viral proc will always reduce their health by 50% for a duration, and corrosive proc will always remove 30% of their armor, etc, etc. So essentially, as enemies go up in levels and they gain more armor, more shields, more health, status procs will do more with each enemy level because they will remove more and more armor, drain more and more shields, and remove more and more health. And that's just 3 random elemental combos. We also have Impact, which will stagger the enemies and basically stun them for a duration, Puncture, which will reduce the damage they do, Blast, which will knock them down, and so on and so on and so on. So if you were to take a full damage build and put it up against a status build, the damage build will do more damage in the beginning. But as the enemy scaling becomes a thing, the full damage build will simply drop off because enemies will have too much armor, too much health, and too many shields. And this is where the status build will start to pull ahead, even though it does less damage because you will remove that armor, the shields, and their health with status procs. So while it may not be as apparent in like an exterminate mission, if you do either an endless run or an endurance run, it will become very obvious that status weapons are the way to go versus very high level enemies. Unless, of course, you're running a mental crit weapon like the Tonkor, which can one-shot even level 100 units. Now, from what I just said, you may think that Vaykor Marelok simply does not do the deeps with this build. But it does because Vaykor Marelok is amazing and has a really good stats. So we can have best of both worlds. We have a lot of damage, so in the beginning this thing is gonna hit like a bloody truck, and if you decide to do either an endless or an endurance run, you're still gonna do a ton of damage because you can utilize status procs to remove the enemy armor, health, and shields, which is amazing. There aren't very many weapons that can do this, and this is what makes Vaykor Marelok absolutely amazing. I mean, how many weapons can do a ton of damage with good crit chance and pump out status procs with pretty much each shot? And if you have primed Pistol Gambit and Target Cracker, I don't think you will ever need another secondary weapon. So I would definitely recommend this build. It's very powerful and a ton of fun to play with. And before I end the video, I want to say thank you to a couple of people once again. So Mr. iWave have sent me a ton of Lotus Noggles as well as a Prisma Excalibur Noggle. Mr. Overdrag has sent me a Sargas Rook Noggle, so thank you very much for that. And there is Mr. Fa Vasilis, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you very much for the 5 Forma and 2 Lotus Noggles. Then there is Mr. Gon Nizunacho, and he sent me a Neurosensor, so thank you very much for that. Now I also have 2 more gifts that are the definition of overkill. So there is Mr. Blackheart651, who gave me a full set of Sauron Prime. And he also wanted to say hello to YouTube, so everyone say hello to him. And yesterday, Mr. Jonico also gave me a full Frost Prime set. And if you want to see that, it's on my second channel, MC Gamer CZ Live Streams, where I upload all my live streams from Twitch. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.